All right, folks, we're back here on WrestleRant Radio for Thursday, March 31st, 2022. We got the WrestleMania Go Home Roundtable as we do every single year. Myself, Mr. Marceau. We're breaking down everything WrestleMania 38 here today. We got a very special guest before we get into anything else. Tommy Bechtold from New Rockstars. You're a familiar face, Tommy. We've talked to you before on the channel. First time here on the podcast itself. I had to reach out to you. I hear all the wrestling references and stuff that you drop in the videos. Brendan was dropping some references yesterday.
Yes.
Rogue Theory or whatever it was. Which I got a good pop out of that. But Tommy, welcome to the show, man. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. We're excited. You know, Brandon and Zach and I have been pushing for more wrestling content on New Rockstars for a while. And there's some new stuff coming out in the next few months on the channel that I think will allow us to kind of like sneak it in until hopefully overwhelmingly the support says we need our own show. So we're working on upping the wrestling. We do have plenty of references, and then Brandon and Zach actually do a live comedy show based on wrestling. So it's pretty funny. Yes.
That is news to me. What did they do that like in the California area or something?
Yeah,
like
they do it in Los Angeles, and it's called the Botch Bros, and they play a tag team that just maims each other on stage, and then they have different people doing comedy bits, somewhat wrestling related, cutting promos and things like that. So
that is hysterical. If I'm ever in the LA area, I definitely got to check that. I didn't even know that existed. Absolutely. I know he drops the wrestling references. I know you were a fan. Yeah. I know he was a fan. I didn't know Zach was a fan too. So.
Oh yeah, Zach's just a fan of. Zach's like the smartest person alive. So he's like one of those people that just knows something about everything. So yeah. That's I like great. Also that I have a little jar of baby powder visible in the background. Like if you look in my room right now, I'm in the process of moving into this room. So like it'll be like a little like seek and find for people if they're watching this visually. I don't know if this comes out in a visual medium, but I'm going to
try to put this up in video form because I love the video aspect of it. It's a great background, and get a little Tommy Easter eggs in the background.
I've hung one picture. There's on this side you can see I experimented with 2 paint colors that I've not decided on yet. And then, we'll see who can spot the most details. There'll be a prize. But
it's a work in progress. If you look back at this in a year from now, you'll be like, "Oh, that's where I was when in my moving process." You know,
next WrestleMania when we do this, I'll say, "Look at how good this room looks," or I'll be in prison. Who knows? I could be in jail. But
anything can change. Anything can change in the matter of a year.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
That's great. I will keep on complaining until we get a wrestling podcast on the New Rockstars YouTube channel. I put up that tweet a while ago, and I saw a lot of people respond to it. So I'm sure there's an audience there for that. But
absolutely
looking forward to that. But Tommy, you're on the Twitter machine at Tommy Bechtold, right? Or I know you're the Christmas boy. That's your name. You changed it for a little while. You went back.
Yeah, brought it back for Batman when they let us make our own personal messages. And I said, all right, I'll bring it back. Yes, I'm at Tommy Bechtold on all social media. Fantastic. Just find me. Yeah, early adopter.
Early adopter, amazing. Mr. Marceau, you're on the Twitter machine as well, of course, at RJ underscore Marceau. RJ, I'm welcoming you here a little late. What's going on, dude? Welcome to the show as always.
I'm doing good. I mean, no complaints here. I mean, just ready for WrestleMania season, so I'm ready to break it down.
You're jumping in my suitcase for when I leave to Dallas, right? I thought you were coming with me.
That's next year. Next year.
I got to the LA area too. Tommy, they're going to be in LA next year.
Oh my God, we should do this in person.
Oh my God, dude, that would be amazing. I am waiting for you guys to take the New Rockstars a show on the road to the East Coast.
We are hoping for that. I'm an East Coast. Actually, pretty much all of us are East Coasters. So would be I mean, if you count Florida's East Coast, right?
Yeah, that's East Coast.
Yeah. I mean, I'm New York, but the Eric Voss and all those guys are Florida guys. So
be awesome. Well, I look forward to that. But they're hitting LA next year. They're in Cowboy Stadium this Sunday. It's gonna be my first time in Texas. So I look forward to that. Yeah. I'm going to pretend to be the biggest Cowboys fan going to that show on Sunday. So.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly. America's team.
Yeah, exactly. America's team. Mr. Marceau, you excited for them to be hitting Texas for the first time? And what was it? I think they were there 6 years ago, right? For 32?
Yeah, 6 years for 32. I mean, it can't be any worse than that show. So I guess positive vibes only.
Exactly. We'll get into WrestleMania in a moment. Of course, new episodes every single Thursday. iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, podcast, Podbean, all that other good shit every single Thursday. WrestleRant.com, WrestleRantRadio.com. Me, Mr. Marceau. We're going to be breaking down WrestleMania next week here on the show, so a lot to look forward to in the weeks ahead. Before we get to Mania itself, though, as I said, it's the NXT Stand and Deliver show coming up on, I think it's Saturday morning. They're doing a really weird setup this year where Mania weekend is like all messed up. So they're doing like SmackDown in the Hall of Fame on Friday. They're doing it in one night. They're doing NXT that morning on Saturday morning, WrestleMania night 1 on Saturday night, Night 2 on Sunday, Raw on Monday. I may not make it to Tuesday. I'm not even sure what I'm even going to. So we'll see if I even survive attending all this shit. Even as a consumer watching at home, it's a lot of content. We don't have to do full-on breakdown for this NXT show coming up on Saturday, but there are some special matches here. Braun Breaker, Dolph Ziggler for the NXT Championship. Braun Breaker's a star on the rise. They just broke the news on Monday. The Steiner Bros are going to the WWE Hall of Fame this year, which is super exciting.
That's they're his uncles, right?
Yes, those are. So Rick Steiner's his dad, and then Scott Steiner's his uncle.
The dog-faced gremlin. Oh my God. Yes.
Hey, looking forward to that induction speech?
I can't wait to see what Scott Steiner says. I hope he does more math. I hope it's just more math based.
If he doesn't make a math promo, I'd be disappointed. Mr. Marceau, you got to be pumped with the Steiner Bros going to the Hall of Fame, right?
Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait there. Like you said, like Tommy said, can't wait there. Scott with the mic in his hand.
Does Braun Breaker leave Stand and Deliver as the NXT champion? Now, I'm going to be jumping around here a little bit, but do you think he regains the gold on Saturday, or does Dolph Ziggler hold on to it for a little bit longer? I'll throw it to you, RJ.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I think our main roster, he's more main roster bound than staying in NXT. So I'm more willing to say Dolph retains here, and then maybe you can call him up soon. So I'm going to say Dolph. I mean, he's done better work on NXT than he ever did on Raw in the last 3 years. So keep him and Bobby Roode on NXT. Maybe give these other young guys some training that they definitely need. So I'll say Ziggler here.
You know, I'm shocked that I'm even saying this because I don't want to sound hypocritical as someone that was not bashing Dolph, but that's been down on his work, not as far as he goes, but as far as the stuff they've had him been doing in recent years, which is really just a whole lot of nothing on the main roster. So I've actually been really liking what they've been doing with him on NXT. It's something different. He's been allowed to work with the newer guys, the fresher faces. It's exciting. Tommy, is someone who doesn't consistently watch NXT, hearing that he's the NXT champion you talked about earlier, that was one of the first things that you know about NXT currently, this new NXT 2.0. Do you like that idea on paper? Like, how do you feel about that?
It's definitely weird, from the era of wrestling that I really watched intensely, seeing a lot of those people now in NXT is different. I just wonder, I do like the idea of Dolph working with younger wrestlers because I think he is a really good, first of all, he's good on a mic, and then he's also good. He's just a great persona. But I wonder if they need to just completely rebrand the name NXT because it no longer feels like it kind of feels like a hybrid now. So it feels like calling it NXT and then having a 40-year-old champion is kind of, and Bobby Roode is 45, isn't he?
Yeah, he's pretty old. Yeah.
So not that that's old. I mean, by all means, I'm 38.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
My best years in the ring are far ahead of me, but I thought it was interesting. I'm happy for Dolph to be getting some good airtime on NXT and to be a champion. I'm sure that feels good. So yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. It just seems, it's from when I started watching wrestling again, when I picked it back up probably 6-7 years ago to now, it just seems so, obviously with AEW and NXT changing, it just feels so different, but
No, especially with NXT too. I mean, RJ, you and I were at the TakeOver New York show at Barclays Center 3 years ago. Johnny, Adam Cole, 2 out of 3 falls for the NXT Championship. One of the best matches, not only in NXT history, one of the best matches I've ever seen, period. And that was 3 short years ago, and it was such an amazing show. And not that the show is terrible now by any means. It's a mixed bag. We talk about it all the time, RJ, but it's weird to see where it's changed from even a year ago. I do like that idea, Tommy, as far as changing the name, because I feel like it's very similar to you go back 10 years ago when they had the WWE version of ECW, but it wasn't ECW.
Right.
You know
it was on Sci-Fi Network, I think.
It was on Sci-Fi. They had fucking random ass, the Boogeyman was on there. It's what are you doing? You know what I mean? This isn't ECW. So they changed the name, made it NXT, and then it became what it did. So when I hear NXT, I don't think of what the current product is. Yeah. It is the next generation, so to speak, of WWE, and I'm hoping they can continue to build on those upcoming stars, which I'm looking forward to. But is there anyone that you've caught, Tommy, from this current NXT, this new NXT, that you think, okay, this is someone I want to see on Raw and SmackDown in the future, or not so much?
Well, I mean, the people that I liked are kind of in AEW. I loved Adam Cole. I hate to say, I don't mean to be negative about it. I kind of, I'll be honest, just with my bandwidth, I don't have a lot of time to track it. A lot of the people that I liked got called up and then released or rebranded. So I don't know. I love Adam Cole as a personality. I think he's great. So I know he's in AEW, and that's like a half answer, but I guess that is my answer for now.
I mean, if you look at the last 5 or 6 NXT champions, most of them are either gone or in AEW. I mean, Keith Lee was another one.
Yeah, I love Keith Lee. That to me is shocking that that he was up and then out. So like main roster, then gone within like a year, basically, right?
Yeah, like a year and a half. They didn't even give him a chance. I mean, they're in Texas for this WrestleMania show, and he's a Texas guy. I mean, that would have made perfect sense to have him on a show like this in a big match. But
they could have. Remember, they had the Texas tussle between Titus and Mark Henry on that one episode of Raw, and then it was like Mark Henry power slammed him as soon as he got in the ring, and it was like, they could redo that and just totally ruin him further. But
dude, I completely forgot about that. That was one of the worst segments I've seen on Raw in years. Do you remember that, RJ?
It's good that you don't.
You don't remember that, RJ?
I do not remember that at all. I mean, my memory sucks compared to yours, but I do not remember. That sounds awful, so I'm glad I don't remember it.
Well, I'm kind of a glutton for like the segments that don't work and the gimmicks that don't work. Like I'm a big fan of scouring YouTube for like buried WCW horrible ideas. Like what was it? Just came the Zodiac, the guy
WCW
that was Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and he was the Zodiac, and he just answered everything as yes. If he just said the opposite of whatever the person said. It was him and Kevin Sullivan doing a promo, and it was just, I mean, it was like straight out of the 90s, straight out of like just a room full of cocaine, being like, "We'll get the Zodiac going. That'll be perfect." So,
dude, some of that shit was just terrible. I'm completely off topic here, but I was just actually watching. They have that new show on Peacock now. It's called WWE Evil or something like that. It's yeah. It's about like the best bad guys in wrestling history, or like in their opinion. And I think Hogan was the first one, and I was watching it yesterday. And they had Vince Russo on talking about the Poke of Doom and Jarrett shit from like 2000. Some of the worst stuff in wrestling history. It is just awful. Have you caught that at all, RJ, or not yet?
I haven't watched it yet. I was gonna watch it, but I had other shit coming up. But I definitely want to tune into those. They look pretty good.
They showed the replay of the Russo promo when he was on Raw, or not Raw, on Nitro the following Monday, when he was like, "You'll never see that piece of shit in my ring again." That classic promo. I'm like, yo, what is this? It was just crazy, but times have changed. It's just nuts to think about. But Mr. Marceau, we talk about NXT. We talk about stars you look forward to the future. We got Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, Cora Jade, all of whom are in action on Saturday at this show. What are you looking forward to the most from the show? There's a ladder match for the North American title. Breaker and Ziggler, I think, should be pretty good. Any matches or any show-stealing performances you're looking forward to from the show on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I think the ladder match is definitely going to be good. I feel like NXT usually does pretty good with the ladder matches. They got some young guys in there. They got Hayes, Sequoia, A-Kid, or I think Grimes might get in. We haven't figured that one out yet, but I love Escobar. I think Escobar's a good veteran to have in there, and Waller's a breakout star as well. So I think that will showcase the young and up-and-coming talent they have. The women's match, I mean, I kind of wish it was just Jade and Rose, but they kind of shoehorned Io Shirai and Kaylee Ray in there. So we'll see how that goes. I feel like now that they added them in, there's a better chance that Mandy retains. So we'll see. And I mean, Gunther and LA Knight should be a great match. I think that one could steal the show. Two wildly veterans, and I think that probably I wouldn't be surprised if that's the show stealer, honestly.
I'm shocked to call them Gunther and not Walter. Are you finally buying into the Gunther stuff?
I mean, I'm just saying what they have on paper, kid.
I can't say. I was saying Gunther the other day to Alexis, and she was like, "You can't say that. Like, his name is Walter." I'm like, "That's what they told." Like, listen, if I go to one of their events and I call him Walter, I might get kicked out of the building. Like, you gotta call him what they said. You know what? It's just weird. Is it weird for you, Tommy, hearing like once in a while that these people's names are changed and shit from like Pete Dunne, for example?
Yeah, he's Butch now.
He's Butch now.
Yeah, he's Butch now. Or like, the thing that's always crazier to me is when they're like at the height of Mustafa Ali's like singles push, when he first got pushed out of the cruiserweight division into like the main roster, and then like one week they just called him Ali, and they were like, we're acting like this has never been different. This is exactly how this has always been. He's always been elite. What's his poor Chad Gable feels like he's had about 9,000 names, and like he was Shorty G for a while.
Oh, don't remind me.
Shorty G there's no way that he got told that and wasn't like went into a deep depression. There's no way they were like, we're gonna start calling you Shorty G, and he was like, you know what? I guess this is my life. I guess this is what I dreamed of my whole life. So Shorty G, there's gonna be Shorty G action figures now, and I gotta live that. I gotta live that life, the Shorty G life. But
thankfully they moved on from that. I will give them credit. What would you say, RJ?
It's crazy that they like perfect example is like Carrillo and Angel Garza. They just chopped their last name off. Like no one would notice. Like, oh, they just have no last name.
Right.
They're not gonna repackage them or anything. They're the same characters as they were before. Stuff like that. I honestly just don't understand. Like, I don't understand that mindset. It's like the same person. Like the Walter one's the one that's like even worse.
Yeah.
When they saw him as Walter, there's no change to his actual character, his apparel, his look, or anything. They're just like, he's Gunther now. Like,
well, and then there was the whole Viking Raiders, like 4 name changes in 4 weeks and 4 intro song changes. Like they were like,
God,
we're gonna change their song, we're gonna change their intro package, we're gonna change their name, we're gonna change it back. Now we're combining the two. So I don't know. I mean, I think for probably like, you know, younger fans are probably more resilient with that, where they're just like, hey, whatever. And then old people like me are like, wait a second, that's different. That's not what I saw last week.
Yeah, exactly. And the lack of explanation is what bothers me more than anything.
Yeah.
Like the Butch thing, I think Sheamus said that was his nickname or something. Wasn't that what it was, RJ? They were like, that's his nickname now or whatever.
You know him by another name, but his nickname is Butch. And then all of a sudden Pete Dunne walks in. I go,
okay.
I mean, I guess they're trying to like connect the dots, but like just call him Pete Butch Dunne. I don't know. Just like, I don't get it.
I think the worst part is that they spend time in this company. Like Walter and Pete Dunne have been here for literally 5 years, like at least 3 or 4 or 5 years.
Right.
And then
I mean,
trying
to debut someone under a new name in a new company, fine, sure, I get that, but like, I don't know.
It just doesn't make any sense. Like this is the same company. Like obviously it's a different case, but like they bring in AJ Styles as AJ Styles, like he's himself. Like RJ and I used to joke all the time. They would bring him in, call him CJ Miles, like the marginal one or something like dumb like that, you know? You still waiting for that, RJ?
Dude, I wish he was the marginal one. I would go nuts.
But like there was a phase where they brought in Bobby Roode as Bobby Roode and everyone had their own name, and they're entering this phase now, maybe because, as you said, Tommy, kind of alluding to the AEW thing, people are taking their names and then like, because they let them keep their names, they're now still those people in AEW. Like, for example, Adam Cole, Keith Lee. I mean, obviously don't release these people or don't misuse them or whatever. And they won't leave. But like, maybe that's always been my thing. I think that they don't want them to take their name to a different company at this point because they know it's a lot likely that they could build them up and they can leave. Even though, again, they should look in the mirror and realize that's their fault that they're leaving. But
I
that's
hear
a
what
whole
you're
different. Yeah. It checks out. I don't know. It's a whole weird thing. And there's a lot of people like that looking at the WrestleMania card here that are like, are they going to get their name? Are they going to keep their name? And then they just change the name. Like, for example, going to night one here, starting off with night one predictions for WrestleMania. Seth freaking Rollins. They're adding the freaking in there. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, you talk about RJ, you talk about the names they give people. His name is Seth freaking Rollins.
That's right.
It's on the marquee. It says Seth freaking Rollins.
Seth freaking Rollins.
He's got a mystery opponent. I think we all know who this is going to be, but is it going to be how we think it's going to be? Is it going to be the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes? Is it going to be Smoke and Mirror Cody Rhodes? Is it going to be Stardust? Tommy, I want to get your 2 cents on all this. What's going on here?
I mean, I think the way it has to go, in my opinion, although this does directly mirror a WCW thing they did with Dustin Runnels, I think he has to come out when he was like 7 and then he tore us. He's like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like they debuted him as 7 and then he got to the ring and tore everything off. He's like, I just want to be Dustin Runnels. But I think he has to come out as Stardust and have everyone be like, oh, McMahon is totally owning him, and then get out to the ring and like just take everything off and be like, I'm the American Nightmare, and now I'm a main eventer in this company now because I've got all this cachet from AEW. But they should start it off as though he had bent the knee to Vince and been like, I just want back in, baby. Just get me back in the WWE, and then have it all, obviously it all be a work. But like, you know, I think that would be fun and maybe a little predictable, but at least it seems to follow the drama of pro wrestling in the appropriate pathway.
The WWE diehards would eat that up. If he came out as like, I'm sorry, Vince. I just came back to take my job. Like, I love you. Like, I'm Stardust. The WWE diehards are like, see, he was a failure in AEW. He's a failure. He's a loser. He's coming back. You know what I mean? I mean, he is coming back to WWE, but I don't know. It's a risk. We've been talking about it here on the show for a while now, for several weeks, as far as like, it's a, and we just talked about all the people that have left WWE for AEW. Now we're getting this. Like, does it remind you of WCW a little bit, Tommy, as far as people? I mean, we're not getting the back and forth yet, but Cody Rhodes is the first name to really leave AEW for WWE.
Well, it does feel like now he's definitely digging the canal back to the WWE, because I think in the reality to me is like the AEW does a lot of things really great, and there's a lot of fun. It's a very fun product, but like people still want to play. Like they still want to play for the number one team, and they're still like, I think a lot of these guys, especially that leave kind of with a chip on their shoulder, like they want to get back there and prove what they always thought they were going to be their first go around. So I could totally see a lot of these like former WWE, mid-carders or lower carders and even main eventers that have gone to AEW and become main eventers there, heading back to WWE to try and like regain, whatever their initial hopes were. I could totally see what's his name, John Moxley coming back as Dean Ambrose eventually. I could see, I mean, maybe not for a while, but I think definitely now it's established. If Cody Rhodes does debut and everything goes that way, it's definitely a two-way street now. It's no longer just people, getting burnt out in WWE and going to AEW and kind of sticking it to Vince. Now it's like, it goes both ways.
I mean, it's a smart business move. Again, RJ, you and I have talked about this, but like, I feel like if Vince books him correctly, like he uses him, like, I'm not saying he's going to be the one to beat Roman Reigns for like the championship or something, but like he doesn't come in and he doesn't fail. Like he's used as a star, which they need right now on their rosters for both Raw and SmackDown. That tells people in AEW, all right, there is a chance. Like you said, they can always go to AEW and make either as much money or be successful. Deep down, though, I'm not saying this for everyone. I'm not a wrestler myself, but I'm sure deep down, there's a lot of people that have always wanted to work for WWE. I mean, just the current state of it is what's awful. That's the problem. But deep down, they're like if you tell someone like a family member or a friend, AEW is a big company at this point, but everyone knows what WWE is. Like that's the childhood dream. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. It's like, being, if you're like an actor and you get on like a Amazon original drama that's going to be seen by 100,000 people ever, that's great accomplishment for an actor, and it's professional. It's a professional gig. If you get put on a Chuck Lorre CBS sitcom that's watched by 8 million people a week still, you may not necessarily artistically back everything that goes on in that sitcom, but you're definitely like, you want that shine, you want that light on you. So I think that the WWE provides that no matter what the quality is. That's a North Star for a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great comparison. That's what it is. That's what it always has been and probably always will be. So hopefully like it would be ideal if the product was a little bit better on the whole. So more people have a reason to go there. And we know they have the money to give people, like Cody Rhodes, I'm sure, is not coming in for pennies on the dollar. So, I'm hoping he's going to have a big debut in Mania. But RJ, what are you thinking? We've gone back and forth with this for weeks now. Like, when's he coming in? How is he coming in? Does Rollins issue the open challenge and fucking Veer Mahan from Raw comes out instead? Like, what are we thinking here?
No, I like what Tommy said. I think if anything, similar to what he said, I think they should maybe play the Stardust music and get people like swerved, like what the fuck? And then like he doesn't come out and then they hit the music and he comes out as American Nightmare Cody. I mean, technically the last time he was at that stadium, he was Stardust. So, I mean, you go full circle there. So, I mean, I think you have to, anyone of the brain would have him come out as Cody Rhodes, American Nightmare. I mean, that's what he's known. Like, that's what made him to the star he is today. If you bring him as Stardust, he's just like another guy. But, he has to be American Nightmare. Like you said, don't have the Bush. Like you said, he's not going to beat Roman Reigns. So it's just not. That's just not going to happen. So don't even think about that. But if they put him upper mid card, he's booked well. Like you said, I think it gives other people who are in AEW, who probably aren't being utilized, hey, the grass could be green on the other side. So he's definitely the first big one to move to their side. So if you fuck it up, and then, I mean, that's classic WWE. But I think if you book Cody right, you'll get more people in.
Yeah.
it's going to sound like a dumb question, but does he come in and lose? Like, I mean, this is WWE we're talking about. Like, does he come in and Vince sends the message like, you're in my playground now, pal. Like, you're going to have to play by my rules and you're going to have to work your way back up. And maybe it's a good match and he loses in the end. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, that's a genuine possibility. With I say this all the time, but like, it's amazing from a booking standpoint, their incompetence actually works in their favor because it makes the matches more unpredictable. Like, you don't know what's actually going to happen. You know what I mean? So,
but would that not, I mean, like, I guess it's like, does it make sense for Seth Rollins to lose though? Really? You know what I mean? Like to Cody Rhodes, like, does it make sense that like Cody Rhodes is all of a sudden like the time off and away from the WWE ring has made him equal or better to the guy that basically the company has said is like their number, besides Roman Reigns, they're like number one guy? I don't know. Like, it doesn't, I don't know. The Monday Night Messiah, right? Isn't that his?
Yeah. I mean, he's been complaining for months now. Oh, I don't have a Mania match. Then he comes in and loses, which again, I think he probably should, but it's another question of like, I don't know.
Will it be clean though, or will it be a clean loss, or is it going to be? Is it going to be up to no good? Or
I mean, there's a lot of different ways this can go. RJ could Brandy Rhodes come in and cost him the victory.
I mean, if Cody's a heel, bring Brandy in. She's a fucking heat magnet. I mean, bring Brandy in. They'll boo her. I don't know. Like you said, I think you would have him win, but I mean, because I feel like Rollins is so established at this point, like he can lose. It's not
that's true.
Him. But it's like, but then do you have him lose? And like Tommy said, like he's one of the marquee guys. So you're saying, Cody's coming in and beating our guys right away. I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I mean, I think Cody should win. So then you kind of propel him up a little bit more. If he loses, like, okay, like now what? So I think Cody should win. If there's shenanigans, that's fine. Then maybe we get Becky and Seth versus Brandy and Cody at Backlash. You know. So I had to give it to you. I had to give the possibility.
That sounds awful. Listen, I'm sure Brandy's an amazingly nice person. Keep her out of the ring, please. I have no desire to see that whatsoever. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways this can go. I'm looking forward to seeing how they present him. And I don't know. I always go back to WrestleMania 31 when they had Triple H and Sting and RJ. I mean, I'm sure if you check the archives and us talking about that match, there's no way Sting loses his debut. There's no way. How could you have Sting lose his WWE debut? What did they do? They had him lose because they had to tell you, listen, WWE 20 years ago was better than WCW. We won the war. See, we won. Triple H won the match. So like WWE is better than AEW. So have Cody Rhodes lose. I'm like, I don't know if I would do that, but it's weird. I don't know. It's an interesting case, but we'll see. This match could go, I guess, either way. But we're all picking Cody here. I mean, there's a chance Rollins wins, but what's your pick, Tommy?
My pick is Cody. I don't know. I just feel like it. All of the logical points laid out in front of me will probably be made moot by the time it airs. But I think it's probably Cody. I doubt it's clean. I doubt he wins clean.
Okay. And would you rather see Cody as a face or a heel in the company?
I mean, I feel like there's a chance if you put him right, he could be one of those weird hybrids that's like kind of anti-authority. So he becomes a face because of that. And because he turned his back on the WWE once and built this giant competitor, like you could play off of that. Although I don't know business wise what Cody could really do legally, to this. Obviously you can't talk about it too much, but yeah, I think he's got to just be a heel.
Yeah,
he's kind of just looks. This is based on look alone. It's like
he's the natural heel. I mean, he's been doing this thing in AEW for a while, where he's not a face, he's not a heel, he's somewhere in between. And I think he can be a successful hybrid. The problem is that in AEW, people didn't want the hybrid. They just fucking hated this guy. Like they just wanted him to be a heel. He didn't want to do it. So I think, honestly, one of the benefits to going to WWE in his case, I think he's going to have that directive of Vince. Whether Vince knows what he's doing is I don't know. That's the real problem here. But he'll be forced to kind of like, all right, you gotta pick. Like sometimes giving the wrestlers too much creative control can be a problem. And I honestly think that was part of the issue with Cody and AEW. I mean, it can be a plus in some respects, but I think giving him a little too much creative control can be a problem. But what about you, RJ? What are you thinking as far as face or heel?
I mean, he's a champion, so face heel doesn't matter. But I think he's got to be heel. I mean, I just think coming in, you can portray him as the bad guy, the guy from another company. I mean, I'm honestly more wondering if Vince is gonna make him cover that tattoo up on his neck. I mean, that's my biggest worry. I mean, he might be wearing like fucking turtlenecks on Raw the next night. I really don't know. I doubt Vince gonna let that tattoo fly. Things just thing's just ugly.
That's hideous. It's such a strange. I say that as a man with a Detroit Tigers tattoo on his bicep. Like I know all about ugly tattoos, so I feel I am an authoritarian on that.
But did you get
or an authority, not an authoritarian authority? Yes, I got it when I was 18.
I was gonna say, well, the biggest difference I think there is he got his own fucking brand tattoo. Like, did you get a Tommy Bechtold tattoo right on your neck?
I did not, but I have had a couple of girlfriends that don't know how to read Old English very well be like, "Is that a B on your arm?" And I'm like, "Yes, it is. It's a B. It's a B for best boy." Yeah. Anyway.
That's great. Yeah, no, we'll see if they cover it up. I mean, I don't know. I don't think they will. They'll probably just own it, but I could see Corey Graves making a couple comments about the Pat McAfee. If he goes to SmackDown, Pat McAfee would fucking bury him for that tattoo. I guarantee you right now, because he's that type of person that would do that. That would be hysterical. That's one of the biggest stories from night one. We'll get into the other big matches later. Some quick ones here. They just announced the New Day's King Woods and Kofi Kingston taking on Sheamus and Reg Holland. Tag team action official as of Monday's Raw. Feels like a match you'd see on SmackDown. Great that these guys are on the show. I think it was going to be a 6-man with Big E before he had the awful neck injury. He broke his neck. I mean, which is super scary. So glad he's doing better. Unfortunately, he won't be there. Butch, as we know him now, is going to be in the corner of Sheamus and Ridge Holland. Looking at this on paper, Tommy, who do you think wins here?
You know, I watched SmackDown from last week to kind of catch up on this, and I did see the origins of this match. I have a feeling this to me reeks of a classic failed interference by Butch leading to the New Day winning, like a botched interference job leading to the crafty veterans of the New Day taking out these two fine Irishmen, Scotsmen. I don't know.
Some Europeans, something like
that. Yes.
Yeah, this would be perfect to have an opportunity if they were to do that. Have Butch like inadvertently interfere, but it turns out to be on purpose, and he says, "Fuck this Butch shit, and Pete Dunne." But that's not going to happen. I mean, he's only had the name for a month, so that's just not going to happen.
No, I think it's the old he goes in, tries to throw a punch, and then Kofi ducks and he hits Sheamus in the face by accident, and then
even old Finley's old shillelagh from all those years ago.
Yes,
just go all out with it. But,
absolutely.
I could so see them doing that. I have New Day winning here as well. It doesn't really matter who wins between the two teams. I think New Day just makes more sense. You said you talked about SmackDown, Tommy, and between the two teams, the New Day I think it was the heels that got the advantage on Friday. So booking 101 would suggest that the faces win here. But RJ, this reads to me like the New Day versus fucking League of Nations from all those years ago at WrestleMania. Just one of those random WrestleMania matches that's just kind of there. But it's cool to see them on the card. But it's a little kind of a far cry from where Kofi was 3 years ago winning the WWE title. But it is what it is. But what are your thoughts on this one, RJ?
Yeah, I mean, this is a glorified SmackDown match. I mean, we've seen them. Pretty sure we've seen this match on SmackDown the last couple of weeks, didn't we? Like, didn't they just team?
The biggest difference, Big E was in there instead of King Woods, makes a big difference.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, it's not like, the thing is, it's not really over anything. So I would say if it was like, there was actually something on the line, maybe have the heels win and keep some heat on them. But, I mean, it's for nothing. Then it's not even for the titles. The Usos, the champions. I don't think they're going to lose. So I'll go New Day here. I mean, it's kind of a throwaway, but I agree. I go with the New Day here.
Next match on the card, SmackDown Tag Team titles here. The Usos defending against Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. Quite the random matchup here. They just kind of got this on the show for the sake of getting it on the show. I love the Usos. They've been champions now for a long time. Nakamura and Boogs are very popular. Nakamura's reign as Intercontinental Champion, not the most newsworthy, but listen, if this gets Nakamura back in the thick of things as Tag Team Champion, then I might not be opposed to it. So I don't know if I would I don't know if I would despise the outcome of Nakamura and Boogs winning, because it's something different and people really like these two. They're very popular. So RJ, I'll start with you with this one. Do you think the Usos retain the tag titles, or do you think Nakamura and Boogs take the win here?
Yeah, I mean, I like the Usos a lot. I mean, they're doing great work since Jay came back and then Jimmy joined the fold after his feud with Roman. So I like them together. I mean, the cracks need to start happening to the Roman bloodline. So I think Boogs and Shinsuke win here, and then we start seeing some bad turmoil in the bloodline. So I'll go Boogs and Shinsuke. Like you said, they are. I mean, Boogs. I mean, you either love him or hate him. I actually kind of think I'm in the middle. Like, he's all right. I love Shinsuke, so I guess like you said, to give Shinsuke a push up the card a little bit. At least he's on. They were on the show anyways, but I'll go with Boogs and Shinsuke. I mean, the crowd always loves a title change, so tickle the Dallas fans with a nice title change.
Yeah, I mean, moreover than anything else, I mean, this is the place to do a title change if they were to do it. And not only that, like you look at that SmackDown tag team division, which for one is non-existent, but if you look at the teams they actually do have, the Usos have beaten pretty much every single one of those teams. So at a certain point, they're going to have to switch the titles. I don't know. I just don't know if it's going to be here. I'm going to go Usos, but I don't know. I could see it going either way. So, Tommy, from what you saw on SmackDown last week, seeing the build-up for this match, what are your thoughts here?
First of all, Rick Boogs was not on my radar before Friday night, and he is on my radar now in a big way. And
that's good.
You say people either love him or hate him. I personally loved what I saw, and I am. This is just a pick of what I want to happen. I want Boogs and Nakamura to take the titles. I love Shinsuke Nakamura anyway, and I think that they work surprisingly well together. I mean, they kind of fit. They're both eccentric, they're both kind of quirky personalities in giant muscle frames. So I say let's let that division get weird.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Tommy.
And I agree with RJ that the Usos and the bloodline the fractures need to begin. So I think this is a great time to do that.
Yeah, I got to start teasing that tension. I don't know. They're so popular. It is something different. I don't know. This is like Boogs and Nakamura are like what I want to see out of WWE. Like that team, I don't think would, in my opinion, would never work in AEW. Like you put those guys in that division, I think people would be like, this is garbage. This is terrible, whatever. In WWE, for whatever reason, like it works. Like Rick Boogs is a guy that stands out. Like if you first tune on the show, like you did, Tommy, the guy's going to stand out. You're going to be like, this guy's awesome. That was me when I first saw him in NXT a few years ago. He had a couple of appearances. And at that point he had longer hair. He looked like Freddie Mercury. He was doing that Freddie Mercury gimmick. Like, he's interesting. So, I would love to see a title change. I think the people would eat it up. And like you said, let's get this division a little bit weird going forward out of WrestleMania and give something a little different for the Usos to do. So
absolutely.
We'll but I think I'm gonna go with the Usos here. But you guys got Nakamura and Boogs both, right?
Yes,
sir.
Okay, fantastic. We look at the rest of this card here. Not the most inspiring undercard between those two matches. Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin here. I feel like I'm watching a glorified SmackDown. But listen, I think Drew's great. I like Corbin a lot. I'm one of the few people that's a big Corbin fan. I think the Happy Corbin stuff has kind of played itself out. I think bum-ass Baron Corbin with when he was broke and whatever, I thought that was fantastic. Like that was some of the best stuff he's done. And I don't know. Just this whole storyline doesn't do a whole lot for me personally. I think McIntyre should be doing bigger and better stuff, but they just don't have a lot of star power right now. So from what you can gather from this storyline, Tommy, what are your thoughts on it? Who you picking here? And just your overall impressions of the feud, I guess.
Well, it seems like to me, Corbin is kind of the perfect, unintentional parody of WWE because his first name constantly changes. I mean, the gimmick based on whatever his personality is. It's like King Corbin, Commissioner Corbin, whatever it was for a while. I just think that, like you said, this is kind of like Drew McIntyre is a certified star. He's huge. He's exactly what Vince likes, big giant guy. Corbin is also a big giant guy that they have not been able to make a massive star in the company. So it's kind of this is what you get when you do things the way they've been doing. This is the match that seems to make sense. Now, I think that Drew McIntyre either has to win resoundingly or Baron Corbin or Happy Corbin has to hit him with a briefcase or something. That's the only way that I think Happy Corbin wins. But I don't know.
They're playing up the fact that Happy Corbin's been undefeated since he became happy. Since he had his latest gimmick change, he's been undefeated. And I just feel like WWE, the way they work, the more they mention stuff, the more the opposite is going to happen. They bring up stuff for a reason. This person's been on a winning streak. Okay, let's end that shit. Or they're on a losing streak. Okay,
these two have been best friends forever. They're inseparable. Oh God, he hit him with a kendo stick. No.
Yeah. They just make it blatantly obvious most of the time. And I feel like this is going to be a case of that. And I'm ready to move on beyond this. I think Drew wins and maybe we see him in in the title picture. Maybe coming out of WrestleMania, him and Roman rekindling that rivalry, I think would be pretty cool to see. So I think of the two scenarios that you laid out there, Tommy, I think it's got to be the former. If Corbin wins, there's no way he wins clean.
Right.
Definitely with some sort of a briefcase or that guy Madcap Moss or whatever. But
right.
Yeah, he's probably going to factor into the finish, I would assume, as well. And I've seen other people say, well, I'll say that as a bonus question, actually. Before I get your, I'll say what I'm going to say after I give your prediction, RJ, or get your prediction. Who do you think wins here, McIntyre or Corbin?
Well, Corbin's going to win easily.
Come
I'm
on.
a big Madcap guy. I love Madcap. I mean, I just feel like it's not ending right now. So I feel like they'll flesh it out a little bit longer. Like you said, maybe get a little Madcap interference, Baron wins, or Happy, whatever the hell you want to call them. And then you just have them face off again. I mean, if not, what do you do? I feel like if Drew wins clean, then you just move on at this point. So I just don't think that's the direction they're going in. Sorry to be that guy, but I got Happy and Madcap.
Listen, I think you got to remember too, was it not 3 years ago that Happy Corbin, Baron Corbin, whatever, ended the career of Kurt Angle at WrestleMania? I mean, he beat him in his last match.
That's right. That's right.
And then the next year, the Mania that we all forget, the pandemic one in the Thunderdome, and not the Thunderdome. They were at the Performance Center at that point. I think he lost to Elias, who can't buy TV time right now to save his life.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's really weird to see what they've done with Baron Corbin. Like he's at the high of highs sometimes, and then he's like at the low of lows. It's weird the way they've handled him, but he's stood the test of time. Like he's got a singles match at WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's right.
Up until Monday, Seth Rollins did not have. So, I mean, I guess for whatever that's worth. But I think Drew wins here. My bonus question for you guys. RJ, I'll start with you. I saw someone say this on Twitter, and I like this a lot. Do you think if Drew wins, you said Corbin's going to win, but let's say if Drew does win, do you think he kicks out of the End of Days? No one has ever kicked out of that move in 8 years in WWE, which is crazy. Do you think Drew breaks the streak? And even if he does lose, actually.
I mean, if anyone's going to do it, it should be either him, Roman, or Brock. So, yeah, I'm fine with that.
I don't know if we're getting a Brock and Corbin match anytime soon. So I think it's probably going to be. Would you want? Hey, listen, I said this to Alexis.
What'd you say? Crown Jewel.
Oh my god! And the Saudi show is going to be Brock and Corbin
in Riyadh. Yep.
Corbin takes the title.
Perfect.
No, knowing them, probably.
It probably could happen. Oh man, yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, it's been brought up before, but listen, the last person to beat Roman Reigns, they said on Raw last night, they're like, oh, he hasn't been pinned since 2019. Baron Corbin was the last man to pin Roman Reigns. I mean, no one talks about that, but I don't know why Corbin isn't bringing that up, but it's true. But anyway, I think Drew's going to win here. Do you got Corbin winning, Tommy, or is it Drew?
I got Drew winning here. I got Drew winning, and I got him winning in a violent fashion.
With the sword, does someone get cut up or something like that?
Yeah, I think he beheads him in the ring.
Then he brings it to Riyadh, RJ. Yeah, he'll bring it to Saudi Arabia with him or something like that. We got a tag team match. Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio taking on The Miz and Logan Paul.
Oh.
Tommy, give me your thoughts. I mean, there's a lot of celebrities on this card. Your thoughts on Logan Paul's involvement with WWE?
I don't care. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's fine. I'm fascinated by the Paul brothers. I think the most fascinating angle of this match would be to reveal that Dominic is a huge member of the Paul brother army and like turns on his father to like impress Logan and Jake Paul. And like then like they do like some wacky stunt or something. I don't know. I think it's fine. I think it's good for their brand to appeal to a younger audience. I mean, like you can be as snarky as you want about influencers, but the fact of the matter is, if I talk to my nieces and nephews who are all, 8 to 16 years old, they freaking love these people. And if you want to get a 12-year-old hooked on wrestling that doesn't happen to have a 35-year-old father who's hooked on wrestling, this is how you have to do it, So I think it's fine. I think The Miz is the perfect person to pair him with. I love The Miz. The Miz can do no wrong in my eyes. So, The Miz is pretending to be the person that Logan Paul is in real life. So that works for me. And then the Mysterios are like, the class of wrestling, the dignity of wrestling. So it's a perfect, it's a crowded card. It's a crowded weekend, but I'm fine with this match. I think it's totally fine.
When they first announced this, I wasn't super high on it. I'm not saying it's the most excited I am for a match on this card, but like you said, I'm honestly okay with this. I think the way they've built this up has been okay. Everyone loves the Mysterios. Miz plays his role remarkably well. He's a perfect partner for Paul, like you said. And Logan Paul, you know what? Love him or hate him, but the guy plays his role well. Like, it's not like they're out there pushing him as a face. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they want you to boo him.
Right.
He's obviously athletic. The guy can hopefully go in the ring. I saw some footage of him training for the match, and he looked like he's got some skills as far as WWE goes. So
I mean, those guys aren't afraid to like train and work out. Like the one thing, people can be as cynical as they want about their boxing careers and them kind of fighting scrubs, but like they get in shape. They're not, it's not like they're like, they don't show up like Butterbean or like, like celebrity box, like, rest in power Screech when he showed up to celebrity boxing and was like, with a massive beer gut. It's like, these guys are ripped. They look the part. So,
Yeah. Who's going to have the better WrestleMania performance, you think, RJ? Butterbean or Logan Paul?
Oh, Logan Paul, he is like I like Tommy said. I think there's no negative in Logan Paul, like you said. I think it's a different audience, and they'll definitely get more eyes. I mean, love them or hate them. I mean, they get views. They're popular. More people probably know who he is than Rey Mysterio, The Miz, and Dominic combined. So it is what it is. And I mean, I think the Mysterios will probably win, but I think him in the match, I think he'll prove that he's athletic and like Tommy said, he's in good shape. So I think the Mysterios win, but it's a win regardless.
6619 to Logan Paul. Do you think that's the big payoff here?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It is funny. I mean, as someone who like got into like was introduced, I missed the first Dominic go around, the paternity Dominic angle where it was like, who's Dominic's real father?
Yeah, RJ grew up on that.
So my next introduction to him was who was the feud where who was Rey Mysterio feuding with where the guy kept assaulting Dominic? Was it Drew McIntyre? I can't remember. It was somebody.
Seth Rollins a few years ago.
And then the Dominic was always in like street clothes and he looked like he was 14 years old still. And so now
no, actually, my bad. I think that was Brock Lesnar. I think
Brock Lesnar. So now to see like Dominic in ring gear, it still to me looks like a little kid. Like I know he's not, but I'm like, he just has his dad has a baby face too. His dad's almost 50, but it's just like, it's like seeing him in ring gear feels like it's like in the commercials where like all of a sudden the fan is on the football field with shoulder pads. Like I know he's a legit trained wrestler, but it just still always looks funny to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like he's getting ready to go to baseball practice or something like that. It's just weird. Like he's been decent. I think Dominic he bypassed NXT completely. Like he went right to Raw and SmackDown because of his father, and he's done well. I do think he would be one of those people that could benefit from going back down at some point to NXT. Maybe get some more experience and whatever. But from what I've seen from him and everyone in this match, really, I think this could be a fun attraction. And I go back to last year too, in that match that Miz had with him and John Morrison, unfortunately no longer with the company. That was a wasted talent, but him and Morrison against Damian Priest and Bad Bunny. I mean, that was one of the best matches of the entire show last year. So I think it could be very similar to that. So I think the Mysterios win here. You said the Mysterios as well, right, RJ, or no?
Mysterios.
You got Mysterios or Miz and Logan Paul, Tommy?
I got the Mysterios as well.
I saw Miz saying that maybe him and Logan win and they become Raw Tag Team Champions. I don't know about that. Logan's a busy guy. I don't think he's sticking around. So I think that might have just been a red herring, So
yeah. Although you never know, like it would be very Paul Brothers for him to like dedicate 6 months to professional wrestling and then move on to another thing. So
hey, if they give him the money for it, I don't see why not. I think he would pretty much take whatever they give him. So I could totally see that happening. Yeah. Looking else here on night one, I think we just come down to three more things here. We got the Raw Women's Championship match first, Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair. I'm looking forward to this. I think of the two women's title matches at Mania, RJ and I've been talking to this for a couple of weeks now. This has been the better built match. I'm on Raw last night, Becky getting her hair cut by Bianca. Usually it's the other way around. Like the babyface gets humiliated. They reversed the roles last night, and it's got a lot of people talking. Like, so Bianca was humiliated at SummerSlam by Becky, losing in like 30 seconds or whatever. And all storyline like signs point to Bianca winning. After what I saw last night, I don't know. Like I'm sticking with Bianca, but I'm a little more on the fence than it was. And RJ, you and I were talking about this morning. You're the biggest Becky fan I know. Give it to me. Like, play devil's advocate here. Do you think Becky? I mean, I don't know. I get the sense that you think Bianca's going to win, but I think you might also want Becky to win. So I'm curious what your take on this is.
Well, yeah, I do want Becky to win. I mean, all the way it's led to this point, I feel like it was Bianca winning. But then last night, I think was like, oh, maybe Becky is going to win. I mean, usually booking 101, I mean, Becky would retain here. But I mean, how much more juice do you have in it? Like, would she beat Bianca clean? If she did at that point, it's not like Bianca really has a bitch if she lost clean. but then do you just keep dragging it out? I really don't know. I'm gonna so hard because I feel like the end goal is Rousey Becky, but like I like if they both just lose, it's like well, why would that be so special at that point? So I'm leaning towards Becky winning. I'll say Becky. I mean, I think Bianca is a safe choice as well. I mean, I think it can go either way. I think going into last night, I would say I was going Bianca, but the way last night ended, I'm leaning more towards Becky now.
So Becky's your pick.
Becky's my pick.
Dude, I can't pick against Bianca. Listen, I love Becky and what she's been doing is great, but I feel like you tell this story where she loses in 30 seconds and then she can't beat Becky. And then she finally gets her opportunity to beat Becky and she loses again. Like that to me as a viewer tells me that Bianca's the loser. Like she can't win. You know what I mean? And I just feel like she's better than that. So I'm torn here because I feel like if they do Becky and Ronda next year, that's great. I don't think Becky needs to win here in order for that match to happen. I think she can still be seen as credible regardless. It's Becky Lynch. I feel like Bianca needs the win more, you know? So I'm going to stick with my gut. I'm going to stick with Bianca. I won't be shocked if Becky wins, but I don't know. The fact that we're even discussing this right now is great on WWE's end because they made it more unpredictable. So they accomplished what they wanted to. So where do you stand on this, Tommy, as far as the feud goes and who you think walks out with the title?
I have a straightforward opinion, which is I think that Bianca Belair probably has to win this match to legitimize her, you know, as a champion contender, kind of along what you had said, Graham. But then I have a swerve. Prediction where Becky Lynch retains, Ronda Rousey defeats Charlotte Flair for the title, and we get a surprise announcement that an 8th match has been added to the next night of WrestleMania, a second unification title bout between those two wrestlers. So then we have the Brock Roman match. Then we also have Becky Ronda. We're not waiting a year. We're waiting one night and one night only to have those two go at it. That's my wild out there prediction.
And that's a realistic prediction too. Like that's a wild prediction, but that could absolutely happen. Like I was thinking a little bit about the fact because people are thinking like, and I'm thinking even now, like, why are they doing both women's titles matches on the same night? Like that's a little weird to me. Like we'll talk about Charlotte and Ronda in a second, but I don't know. You would think you'd want to even it out. And night 2's got some good stuff too, but
definitely.
I don't know. It's a little weird. They're doing both women's titles matches. Cody Rhodes might be on the show. We'll get to the Stone Cold stuff in a second. Like you would, I don't know. And I heard night 2 isn't selling as well as night 1. So if they announce another unification match with that big match you just mentioned, Tommy, Becky and Ronda, that would certainly sell more tickets and incline people to tune in. What are your thoughts on that idea, RJ?
I mean, I'm down. I mean, I think that's the match you make for next year, but I mean, if they're going to do it now, might as well. I honestly think they could, even if Becky loses, I guess she could like step away for a little bit and then they re-enter with Ronda. Maybe that's how we get to that road. But I mean, if you're going to unify the men's, I might as well just do the women's. I mean, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
I mean, at this point, do you think the brand split's going away? I mean, all signs point to that being the case.
I mean, the way last night's show was, I mean, you had Raw, SmackDown, everyone was there. So
NXT's on Raw now. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah. I mean, I just, if you're going to do the men's, you might as well do the women's. I mean, I saw that they said they might introduce another belt for the men's, but.
No, you're not. Wait, what do you mean another belt?
Like another championship because they're both shows need like a champion or some stupid shit. I don't know. I saw a couple weeks ago. I haven't seen anything recently.
So there'll be 3 championships. There'll be like Universal, World, and then just Grand or something like that.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I like Tommy's idea, but I feel like a match like Becky and Ronda, you would have to advertise that. Just like them both winning and be like, oh, tomorrow night we're gonna have unification. I mean. How much? What's everyone gonna rush to Dallas to buy tickets? I think you're already gonna be there, buddy. But I just feel like a match like that, that needs to advertise. I mean, you can't just give it away like over 24 hours.
I would love if they brought back. I know AEW has their version of this, but if they brought back the WCW TV title, and all roads went through like Disco Inferno and all those guys that were like the TV you have to defeat them in a gauntlet first to get it, but. That would be
all the former WCW TV champions.
Yes, exactly.
Dig them all out is the figure out.
Conan, Disco Inferno, a bunch of the NWO lower members of NWO Hollywood.
I'm sure Virgil was fucking WCW TV champion at some point.
The Disciple had to have been a TV champion a few times. So Yeah. Absolutely.
I would love that. I mean, listen, those mid-card titles mean absolutely nothing. It's just
Yeah.
ridiculous, So
yeah.
man, we'll see what they do, but that's certainly possible. Charlotte and Ronda, we'll just get right into it here. SmackDown Women's Championship. I don't think this is going to be the main event. I think it's going to be the main event match, but Stone Cold is going to be coming out afterward doing his thing. So I don't know, that whole thing is weird, but Charlotte and Ronda, kind of going off what we just said, guys. Who do you think wins here, Tommy?
Well, my prediction, my far out prediction was Ronda, but I think in this match, if it just goes clean and normal, I don't know. I feel like Ronda has a chance to win it. I feel like to bring her back, you probably put a belt on her, right? Like to have her come back to the company at all. It makes sense to have her be champion.
You would think. I mean, I just don't think Ronda comes in and loses at this point. I mean, the story they're telling with Charlotte, like, oh, she can't tap her out, tells me there's a chance she could win. And Charlotte, like, RJ, she is one when people have least wanted her to win, like a lot. Like she ended Asuka's undefeated streak a couple of years ago at WrestleMania.
Right.
No one wanted to see that and it happen. Like when they did her, the last time they were in Dallas, it was Charlotte, Becky, Sasha. Everyone wanted Sasha to win or Becky, and it was Charlotte who won. Like it's just, that's the effect that she has on people, which I don't know, especially if this isn't the last thing on the show and they close out with the Stone Cold thing, which is what I'm reading right now. They could have a heel win here in Charlotte and it would be okay, I think, in their eyes. I'm going to maintain that Ronda wins the championship here. I think that's the better bet. That's what makes the most sense. But what say you, Mr. Marceau? Who goes over here, Charlotte or Rousey?
I think it has to be Ronda. I mean, I don't like when Royal Rumble winners win and then they lose at WrestleMania. And I just feel like Ronda, like that was the whole point. They brought her back to win the belt. So I would say Ronda. I mean, knowing them, Charlotte stole the match last time at that stadium when we all thought she was going to lose. So I guess there's always a chance with Charlotte Flair, but I think Ronda wins here. I think it makes the most sense.
Yeah. You think people cheered or boo it? Because there's some people that just do not like Ronda Rousey.
I mean, she's very hateable, I feel like. So, I mean, I think people would boo it. I think more people would cheer for Charlotte if she won, but
it's interesting. I don't know. The build of this match has left a lot to be desired. I'm going to stick with my guns and think Ronda's going to take the championship. I think that's the better bet. Charlotte is great. Like, people hate Charlotte, but at the end of the day, she is an awesome performer and she always kills it. It's just the booking that people have a problem with, which I can understand, but I don't think having her win is going to help any. I think Charlotte has to lose here, in my opinion. I think Ronda becomes champion, which leads into our main event segment of WrestleMania. We've never had a talking segment close out WrestleMania, or is it a talking segment? Let's get into that. We got the KO show, Kevin Owens, Stone Cold Steve Austin. One of the biggest things on either night. I mean, this is massive that Stone Cold's coming back to do this in his native Texas. People are pumped for it. I'm excited for it. I know you guys are excited for it. Tommy, talk a little bit about Stone Cold coming back. Are we getting a Stone Cold match at WrestleMania this year?
I mean, I got it. Feels like it, right? Like, I mean, the fact that they are refusing to call it a match makes me think that it's going to devolve into a match or something like Kevin Owens is going to piss him off to the point where he's like, all right, fine. Then we'll have a match and he'll stun. There'll be stunners galore and it'll be delightful. And it'll end with Stone Cold will end WrestleMania night one, slamming beers in the center of the ring. And all will be right with wrestling for one brief moment.
Then we can go back to complaining about whatever else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Then we can all go home and digest it and then get back on Twitter and complain. That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know what? I've been so skeptical of whether this is going to be a match or not, because I feel like if it was a match, why wouldn't they advertise it as a match? Like, I feel like that would sell more tickets, but at the same time, it's like, does Stone Cold know if it's going to be a match until like today or on Friday? Like, there might be a case of like, we don't know if he wants to actually do this until it gets closer.
And he might be in such a place medically where like he has good days and bad days, with his various injuries, where he's like, well, if Saturday is a day where like my neck and back and knees are all locked up, I can do 2 stunners and, I can do like maybe hit him with a chair, or he could be like, I feel loose today. I can work for 10 minutes, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing too. Like if they advertise it, then people are getting their hopes up for like this. Right. Oh, it's a Stone Cold classic match.
Right.
We had him and Bret Hart 25 years ago. I think last week was the anniversary. Amazing match. Like him and Rock 3 times. Like he's had so many great matches, and to think like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get hyped for this Stone Cold match, and then he's in there for 2 minutes. It's like, oh, what was the point? So
yeah. I think there'll be a lot of. I mean, Kevin Owens is great at filling time. The KO show, the Festival of Friends stuff with Jericho and all that. Like he can make a meal out of 20 minutes or whatever, like I'm not worried about that not being entertaining. I just like you said, I think underselling it is in a rare case smart in this situation. Selling it as an appearance on the KO show where Kevin has been mocking him mercilessly for weeks and weeks and weeks. It's like, that's great. Now, whatever happens is above and beyond and going to be awesome rather than disappointment.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you set the expectations low, I mean, I sound like MJ from No Way Home here, but if you have no expectations, you can't be disappointed.
That's
so,
right. You'll never be disappointed if you don't get your hopes up. Yeah.
I feel like that's my mindset with WWE sometimes, and specifically with this. So I think
when in doubt, always be Zendaya.
Not a bad way to live.
No,
not a bad way to live.
Maybe not her character on Euphoria though. Don't do that.
I haven't seen that show, but I've heard some things about her character.
If you ever want to have children, I would say don't watch it because it's made me terrified to bring a life into the universe and have them go through high school now. I'm like, oh my God, these kids. Anyway, back to wrestling.
Some Euphoria HBO talk here, but
a little chatter.
What'd you say?
I said, a little Euphoria chatter on the podcast.
I know we got to do some more non-wrestling stuff to talk about. Have you seen the Lakers? This is completely random. Have you seen the Lakers documentary yet, Tommy, or no?
Winning Time?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, love it.
It's a great show. It's a great show.
So good.
We got to have you on another time to talk about that. But Mr. Marceau, back to wrestling. Thoughts on Stone Cold coming back in the ring at WrestleMania? Match? No match? What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I mean, I think like you guys said, I think it's service 101, undersell, over deliver. I mean, you're not going to, if you say a match, like you said, it's a 2-minute, like just like a dick off fest and a stunner, like people will be pissed. So I think going in with the KO show, it's not like you think it's going to be a show. Like you said, I think at the end of the day, we're going to get beers and stunners. I mean, regardless, I think that's what people are expecting. So if they just do that, then they should be fine. So, I mean, I'm fine if it's a segment that ends with beers and stunners, maybe a little impromptu match, I'm fine with as well. But like Tommy said, we're going to get a lot of beers and a lot of stunners. So that's what we're going to get.
That's what we're going to get. We know what we're getting with this, and we're all happy with what we're getting here. Because you know what you get with Stone Cold, and it never not delivers. Like, I've seen this a million times, and I don't care because it's amazing. Like, I don't care if we've seen it a million times. It's Stone Cold fucking Austin. You know what I mean? So I'm totally fine with that. Are you fine with the fact, Mr. Marceau, that this is probably going to be closing the show? Like, I had an issue with it a couple of weeks ago thinking, like, the Rumble winner should always close. It's disrespectful to the women. Like, they should be the main event here. They deserved it. But at the same time, it's like, this is what people are more excited for. This is honestly one of the bigger stories of either night. And especially if it's going to be a Stone Cold match, like, I don't know. After watching Kevin's promo last night, I'm thinking this probably should close the show. Like, we're in Texas too. Like, it just makes sense. So are you fine with that, RJ?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to sell the most tickets. So, I mean, Stone Cold's on the marquee. You got to put him in the main event.
Loophole too. Or go ahead.
I also wonder, like, can you do anything after Stone Cold makes his return to WrestleMania? You know, like, who would want to follow that? It's like following like Eddie Murphy in 1981 at like the Comedy Store. You're like, no, let me go before him. That's fine. I'm totally fine going before him. I don't need to be.
Yeah, I think anticipation for the women's match is kind of iffy as it is. I think it's going to be a great match, but some people aren't entirely sold on Flair and Rousey. So having them go on last would be after Austin. I mean, it makes sense on paper to have them go last, but it's like you said, no one's going to care. Like, they got what they had with Stone Cold. They're going to want to go home at that point. Like, honestly, like, that's going to be the thing. So we'll see. I think it makes sense to go on last at this point. And technically it's a loophole. Charlotte and Ronda will have the main event match of the show, unless Stone Cold wrestles. If Stone Cold wrestles, then it won't be the main event. But if he doesn't, they still have the main event match. So,
right.
And then you can have Stone Cold go on last and everyone goes home happy. So I think night one, honestly, between Cody, Stone Cold, and some of the stuff they got going on there might be a bit more exciting than night two, but we'll get into that now. All right, we get to night two of WrestleMania 38 here. Let's get right into it. Women's tag team title match, fatal four-way action. They're just adding more teams by the day here. I wouldn't be shocked if they throw in another team by the time WrestleMania comes. But Queen Zelina and Carmella defending the tag team titles. Sasha Banks and Naomi, Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, Natalya and Shayna Baszler. The build of this match has been kind of what it is, pretty basic stuff. But I think with the talent of the match, it should be fun stuff. And the tag titles virtually, unfortunately, mean nothing in this company. They just don't position them as anything important. But I think this is going to be a fun match. So, Tommy, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on how WWE uses their women's tag team titles, because I feel like it kind of comes and goes in waves. But your thoughts on the match itself and who you can see winning here.
Well, I think it's interesting how they, a few years ago, probably 4 years ago, they debuted a bunch of like female stables. Like they were like, here's groups of 3. There's like 2 different ones debuted at the same time, and then more came in. And then you had like the Iconics and whatnot. And now it kind of feels like they're just like, let's just pair our female superstars together and whenever, you know, makes sense based on their, like, you know, their characters and their approval from the crowds. With that, I would love to see Sasha Banks and Naomi win this match. I don't know if it makes any sense for them in their singles careers, but I just feel like Sasha Banks is, you know, I think it's no secret she's pretty criminally underused. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, I know that it seems like Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan are pretty popular with at least wrestling fans. Maybe, you know, the wrestling fans seem to like that tag pairing. So might be a chance to push them. So I don't know. I'm going to just predict who I want to win, which is Sasha Banks and Naomi.
Pretty much going off of your answer, Tommy, anyone to me but Natalya and Shayna. I like Shayna Baszler a lot. Natalya's been here since like, I don't even know. Like she's been around for as long as I've been watching wrestling, which is probably close to 15 years at this point, which to me is a little too long. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So then again, I mean, people like Kofi and Dolph have been here too, and I'm a little bit more tolerable of them. I just feel like she's gotten extremely stale, and
they don't change her. Like they'll turn her like face or heel based on, but it's like the personality never changes. The circumstances around her just
exactly
like, oh, she got betrayed by her heel partner, so now she's a face. It's never like, you know, so it's like, that's, you know, and it's obviously seems like it's picking on a female superstar, but they do that to male superstars all the time too. And it's equally as boring to me when it's like, your only reason for being a good guy now is because the other bad guy turned on you.
Exactly. And especially if you look at their history, like that person's been turned on by tag team partners like 5 times. So by this point, did they not? At this point, they're just an idiot for not seeing it coming. You know what I mean?
Stop tagging with people.
You probably shouldn't have any friends. So
exactly.
that's the lesson you should learn here. But no, I agree. I think Sasha and Naomi are taking this thing. They had the most momentum. They're the team everyone loves. I like Rhea and Liv. I think Rhea should be doing her own thing. I mean, realistically, Sasha should be doing her own thing too. But you know, but at the same time, though, it's like, it doesn't even matter at this point. Like you talked about Sasha being criminally underrated. I mean, we were talking earlier before we went live here, The Mandalorian, and how you guys do the shows. The new Rockstars talking about it. She was on the Mandalorian. I'm mixing that with Book of Boba Fett, but
no, she was on Mandalorian season 2 as I forget what the character.
Casca Reeves, right?
Casca Reeves, yes, absolutely.
And she had great appeal, and people love her. She's so popular. Like she's the biggest name in the, like you could. Show anyone in this match to like a non-wrestling fan, they may not know who Sasha Banks is, but they know who Casca Reeves is because they watched The Mandalorian. You know?
Absolutely. Yep.
And she has fans. So I think Sasha and Naomi are the team to go with here. What about you, Mr. Marceau? I know you're a big Rhea and Liv fan, but who do you think is going to win? Who do you want to win?
Oh, I'm going Liv and Rhea all the way. I think they're a great pairing. I mean, I just love their entrance, their look. They look so like they look like a team. I mean, they look like they go in between each other. I think like you said, Sasha's criminally underrated. I think same with Rhea. I mean, they both are very underutilized in their own way, but I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised Sasha and Naomi won, but I'm going Rhea Liv. I think they're a great team. If they're gonna make the division mean anything, I think they're the right ones to put them on. So I'll go with Rhea and Liv.
Yeah, I think, you know, any one of these teams is fine. I mean, like I said, aside from Shayna and Natalya, I just don't care at this point. But Carmella and, you know, Zelina are doing their thing. I think they're going to split up. They've been teasing tension lately, so maybe Carmella breaks off on her own again. Who knows? But I'm going to go with Sasha and Naomi on this one as well. Looking at the rest of the card, they just added this last night. Omos has been dominant for months now, undefeated for a year. Gets his first real big threat in Bobby Lashley coming back on Monday ahead of what was supposed to be like neck surgery, shoulder surgery. Like it was bizarre. Like they said he was going to be out for 4 months and he came back within a month. I mean, this guy is a monster, you know?
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah,
he's awesome. He's great. I'm very happy he's on the show. Like he's had a great year. He's a former 2-time WWE champion. The guy deserves to be on WrestleMania. I'm glad they didn't do it like wait until like the night after, because he wants to be at WrestleMania, and it's a logical match to do. It's the Clash of Titans. It's a simple story. You can look at this match not knowing a single thing about either guy and thinking to yourself, this is a match I want to see, because these are like two Titans, you know. Omos's in-ring work kind of leaves a little bit to be desired. Not the best wrestler, but you know, I think this could be a pretty decent matchup. So, Mr. Marceau, I'll throw it to you first. Who do you think wins here? Who is the more dominant superstar between Bobby and Omos?
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one. I mean, if if you're WWE and you're going all the way in the Omos train, I mean, he should win here.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think he's the one. I think you have Bobby win, but then like it basically just crushes all the appeal of Omos. So it's a tough one. Fuck. I think Bobby will win. I'm gonna go with Bobby, but like I said, I feel like if you're picking Omos, like if you think he's the one, you got to go all the way. You got to put all your cards in. But if he's not, then Bobby should beat him here. Because if he's who's gonna beat him at that point? So I'll say Bobby. I just think Omos is just his ring work sucks so bad. I don't see him getting any further than he currently is.
Well, you talked about who could beat Omos if it's not Bobby. What if they set up Brock and Omos for WrestleMania Backlash? How about that? I mean, that's a possibility.
No,
right?
thank you. I'm out.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think Bobby's got to win here. I don't know if they're all in on pushing Omos as a single star. It seems like they have. He's gotten a lot of wins lately, and he's been very dominant. Like I said, the in-ring work doesn't really impress me, but the guy's a physical presence, if nothing else. So I don't know. I would give Bobby the win. This is another thing too, where they literally just set this up last night for when we're speaking right now. I could see a scenario, and I hate to even suggest this because it's WrestleMania, but I could see a scenario where they do some dumb like DQ finish or like a count out or something to protect both guys and save the rematch for another day. Like, I don't want to see that because it's WrestleMania and they shouldn't have that type of shit on their biggest pay-per-view of the year. I could see that though. If we're going to pick a winner, pinfall or submission, I think it will be Bobby. I could see Omos winning if they really want to go with him, but I think it's going to be Bobby too. But what about you, Tommy? Have you been impressed from what you've seen from Omos, or what do you think?
Well, I think the thing that makes sense here is if you do push Omos, which I think they kind of want to, you have Bobby Lashley returning early from an injury. So you can always play the angle that he's not 100%. And Omos beats a not 100% Bobby Lashley by targeting his injured areas, and not necessarily cheating, but just like, they've done that with wrestlers in the past where they're like, oh, you won. And that sets up a big rematch for them later on once Bobby Lashley is healthy or healthier. And I could see Omos winning, just because, and then it being mentioned several times by the announcers that Bobby Lashley is not 100%. And that's why.
I could see that. I didn't really think about that, but that's a great route to take if they do go with Omos winning. I don't know if it would be like a quick beats him in 30 seconds type thing, nor do I think he should. But...
No, I could. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. Just going off what you said, Tommy, I think they could totally tell that story if they wanted to. So going off of that, that is definitely a possibility, but is that what you think will happen?
That's my prediction, guys. I'm going on the record. I'm zagging where you guys are zigging.
I like that. That's why we got you on here, Tommy. I wanted some difference of opinion here because RJ and I tend to think a lot similar, unless it's Becky and Bianca, because you're pretty set on Bianca. You're pretty set on Becky now, RJ. Yeah. I'm gonna have egg on my face coming out of WrestleMania. What'd you say?
I said Becky over anyone.
Yes.
Looking at the rest of this card here, we got two more celebrity matches. Johnny fucking Knoxville will be at WrestleMania facing Sami Zayn in an anything goes match. Listen, this is another case, Mr. Marceau, where I think we have a difference of opinion. I've actually really liked the build of this match. I'm going to come out and admit it. Call me a fake fan. I think what Knoxville has been doing with Sammy is fucking funny as hell. I think it's entertaining. Sammy's a perfect guy for this. They're going to go in there and have a wild spectacle of a match. It's anything goes. They'll get the rest of the cast from Jackass in this match. It's going to be mayhem. So honestly, I think Johnny Knoxville wins, and I don't think Sami Zayn loses anything from that because then that guy's not going to be the next world champion anyway. He can go in there and lose to Knoxville and then come out on SmackDown and be perfectly fine. I honestly have enjoyed the hell out of this build, and I think the match is going to be fun, and I think Knoxville wins. Those are three bold opinion predictions right there, but I think that's what it comes down to. What do you think, Tommy? Watching Johnny Knoxville on SmackDown right now doing his thing, what do you think?
I'm kind of in complete agreement with you. I think you have to have the wrestler in this situation be completely game, and Sami Zayn has shown the entire process a willingness to put the capital E in entertainment, sports entertainment.
Absolutely.
Like he is not going about like the sanctity of this. Like, how dare you degrade me by making me wrestle David Arquette? It's like, he's like, my life is being ruined by Johnny Knoxville right now. And Sami Zayn is just an unbelievable entertainer. And Johnny Knoxville and the Jackass gang, like they had like the number one comedy in the world with their movies. So again, you want to get new eyes on wrestling, or I assume the Venn diagram of Jackass and wrestling fans is probably just a circle, but
yeah.
but I think it's great. Yeah, have all the Jackass guys come out and interfere. It's entertaining. Just don't make it too long. That's all. Short and sweet.
I agree.
Short and sweet. We all get a smile. It's great.
Why not? I mean, the show is going to need some filler like that, some comedic filler, whatever. It's going to get people talking. It'll make the media rounds the next day. That's really what they want. And again, like with Logan Paul, you talk to people that are either in that demographic, younger demographic, 30s, 40s, 50s. Really, honestly, most people know Johnny Knoxville. Almost anyone, even if you haven't seen the movie, you know what Jackass is.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. Definitely.
And if I tell friends, hey, listen, he's going to be at WrestleMania and they have a Peacock account, they may watch the fucking show just for Johnny Knoxville. So
for sure,
I don't think that'd be a bad idea to have him in there and then have him win the match. But what about you, Mr. Marceau? Do you still think Knoxville's a goof and he's a loser and this whole thing is the drizzling shits, or have you turned around on it a little bit?
I mean, I still don't care for it that much, but like you said, I think now that it's like an anything goes match, like you said, they're gonna have the whole crew there. It's gonna be a bunch of fucking pomps and circumstance. I mean, it's just going to be an absolute shit show.
Let's go.
Like you said, it gets more eyes on the product, I guess. I mean, Sami Zayn's going to look like an absolute jackass, pun intended. But I mean, I get it is what it is. I mean, I'm just not going to fight it anymore.
I love it. I love every second of it, and I'm looking forward to it. So I think this is going to be a fun match. A lot like, honestly, Pat McAfee and Austin Theory. Pat McAfee has been a gem on commentary for the last year. Anyone who's seen his NXT matches knows that the guy, when he's motivated and he's dedicated, the guy can go in there and fucking kill it. And I think that's going to be what this is. Austin Theory, like you just said, Tommy, about Johnny Knoxville with Sammy. I think Theory is going to be game to go in there and take some bumps. I think this is the opposite in that McAfee will lose in Theory after, like, McAfee will get all this offense. Theory will win with like a cheating or something real quick. Like, I think this is perfect for that. I think it gives Theory a big win. McAfee gets to go in there and impress, do the spectacle shit, maybe do a big jump. This is basically like the Shane McMahon spot at WrestleMania. Yeah, but it's, Shane has been around for a million years. So I like Pat McAfee being in there instead. So RJ, I'll start with you. Pat McAfee Theory prediction here.
McAfee, I think, is great in this role. I mean, I think he's great. Like we saw that match with Adam Cole in that whole program. Another guy bringing another audience, another younger audience to the product. So, I mean, they're hitting the right buttons right now. I mean, I think they're bringing their different group of celebrities that are three different kind of groups of people. So, I think McAfee, like you said, can go. It's not like Knoxville. They're going to do a lot of kind of smoke and mirrors and just kind of Jackass-esque stuff. So, I think Theory wins, though. I mean, Theory wins. Like I said, cheats, doesn't cheat, whatever. I mean, he did pin the Intercontinental Champion last night. So, I mean, basically, I think he beats McAfee here, and then you kind of set his sights on either U.S. title or Intercontinental title picture. I think they're clearly behind him. He's got the look. He's got the in-ring ability. He's just, I mean, I think he's a star. So I think you push Theory all the way.
I mean, the man beat Ricochet last night, who's the Intercontinental Champion, who does not have a match at WrestleMania. So, I mean, they're clearly high on Theory. And I mean, at this point, this match may as well be for a mid-card title because neither of those championships, the US or IC, are not going to be WrestleMania. They have like 15 matches between the two shows. We got Omos in a match. We got Johnny Knoxville in action, but they can't find time for their mid-card titles. So it is what it is, I guess. But what are your thoughts, Tommy, on this whole thing?
I agree. I agree with the analysis. I think McAfee can clearly lose this match, and it's not like, oh, we got to have the celebrity win. And he's like, he's almost like a celebrity that's ingratiated himself enough in the culture of wrestling that like it's barely a celebrity match. He's a commentator on SmackDown. So I think Austin Theory wins, and I think everything you guys said rings true to me.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, as well as the Raw Tag Team title match. RK Bro, the Street Profits, Alpha Academy Triple Threat Tag Team action. I think all three of these teams are great. I think RK Bro is one of the best things on either show right now. The Profits are always entertaining, and Chad Gable with the whole, thank you, that whole shtick. I know you absolutely hate it, Mr. Marceau, but I love it. I think Chad Gable's a gem. He's no longer Shorty G. Thank God.
Oh, he's out of it.
He thankfully ditched that shit. Give me your analysis of this one, Tommy.
The only way I can see, I think RK Bro retains unless they do what they always do in WWE and they have Randy Orton turn on his partner at a time that makes no sense. Like He has, I mean, I think he famously has turned down his partner when they've had the titles before. Like, I think leaving them in a handicap match to defend. So, unless that happens, I see RK Bro retaining.
Yeah, I honestly, I think that's going to happen. What you just pitched, I think is going to happen as far as I think the turn is coming like on Monday's Raw. I really do. I hate that I'm going to say that because it makes no sense because they're so popular right now.
Right. But they can't resist it though with that character. They're like, it just makes like Vince just loves having him betray people because it's like, because that's his career through line is he's the Viper, if you never know when he's going to attack, and when he does, it's deadly. So it's like, you can't have him in close company with anyone for too long, it's like, so anyway.
It would be nice if they told the story like, listen, he's a father now, he's mellowed out in his older age,
right,
and
exactly.
He's a nice guy and he doesn't want to turn on anyone,
Right. Yeah, he's different now.
He's different now. We're getting good guy Randy Orton, and I'm enjoying this RK Bro stuff personally. Again, Riddle's a goof, but I think it works, and I think this will be a fun match. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Profits. I don't know why, but I feel like they might win. Maybe they turn heel and feud with RK Bro and they put RK Bro back in chase mode. I don't know, but I'm going to go off on a limb and say the Profits here. Either way, I'm looking forward to it. What about you, RJ? Who do you think wins here?
I mean, from what happened last night in Raw, I feel like it's Profits. I mean, I like them. They're actual tag team. I think the split between Randy and Riddle is coming sooner rather than later.
Ooh.
I mean, it's going to happen eventually, people. Jesus Christ. We're going to get out of New Day territory eventually. So, but yeah, I mean, I think Alpha Academy also has a small chance to win as well. I think they're great as well. So I'm going to say Street Profits. And like I said, even if the Profits win, they can pin Alpha Academy. Then you have a rematch down the line with them and RK Bro. And then maybe we get some dissension leading into SummerSlam. So I'm going to go with Profits.
Yeah, that's possible. I think the inevitable is on its way as far as the turn is concerned. With the exact, what Tommy literally just pitched as far as like they're gonna do it when it makes no sense to do it. Like the fact it's what I said before. They play up like, oh, they're such good friends. Like Orton's he's a really happy guy. They've been saying that a lot lately, which tells me the turn's coming like on Monday. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's just the way it works.
It's over soon. Yeah,
it's over soon. I hate to say it, but it's coming, and my heart will shatter into a million pieces. They do that quite a bit. Edge and AJ Styles is our second biggest match here on the show before we get to the main event. The build is, it's been really good. I love the heel Edge. He's got a new song like Alter Bridge, and I think it's fucking great. I think what he's doing is awesome. And AJ Styles, what can I say? It's AJ Styles. That guy's amazing. So I think this one kind of sells itself. How you feeling here, Tommy, as far as this match goes?
I agree. I like heel Edge. I always like heel Edge, the rated R superstar. He's fun. I would love if he put AJ Styles over clean. If AJ Styles beat him cleanly, I think that would be a great veteran move. Although they're both veterans. I mean, AJ Styles is not exactly a spring chicken, but I just think a clean win over Edge at WrestleMania is kind of boosts AJ Styles back up again. So that's what I'd like to see, and that's what I'll go with my prediction.
That was my thought process originally. So I'm going to say Edge. And the reason why I say that is because I feel like he's been doing this whole thing where he cut that whole promo a few weeks ago and he was like, I got to become more aggressive and intense. He's been winning a lot lately. So I'm not exactly sure why he's pissed off, but he was like, oh, I didn't win the title last year. All this other stuff that happened like a year or two ago. Why he's upset about it now, I don't know. But heel Edge is amazing. Despite the optics of it not making a whole lot of sense, heel Edge is great. Something just tells me that I feel like him saying that he has to go to this darker place only to lose, to me, would be like weird. I feel like ultimately, I think AJ has to win. Definitely. I agree with you 100%, Tommy. I think AJ has to win ultimately. I feel like the feud is just getting started, which tells me Edge will win here. The cool thing about this feud is that I'm happy with whoever wins because both guys are great. I don't really think it matters. I don't think if Edge wins or AJ wins, the other guy's like, oh, they're buried. Like they're a loser. Like people will use the word buried all the time, but these guys are fine. I think AJ wins. If AJ wins, I'd be happy to. Or Edge wins, I think. That's who my prediction is. You're the deal breaker here, Mr. Marceau. Who do you got going over?
I think AJ got to win. I mean, AJ's got to go over. I think you can have it. You can still have it. Even if AJ wins, you can still flush it out. I think you can have AJ win. Edge attacks him. Maybe he goes for the concerto again. Maybe Beth comes out, shows some sympathy for AJ. Like Edge, what's like with Adam, like what's going on? Like it's translating to home life as well. I feel like a perfect, so you don't like kill AJ again like you already did once. So I think you have AJ win. I guarantee they'll do a rematch at WrestleMania Backlash, and then maybe they'll have Payback after that. So maybe we'll kind of flush this out for the next 2 premium live events. So
Nice.
I have AJ winning.
Premium live events. I'll never get used to saying that. It's a goddamn pay-per-view, sir. They don't
Premium
calling
live event. It's not a pay-per-view. You're not paying for it.
That's so dumb. The fact that they're pushing that as their latest thing. Oh, it's a premium live event is like the most WWE thing I've ever fucking heard. It's been a pay-per-view for like 40 years, 50 years, whatever. It's so dumb. But yeah, no, I agree. I'm looking forward to this one. I could see a case where AJ wins with like a roll up or something, and Edge loses his mind afterward and beats the shit out of him. Beth Phoenix comes out and threatens to divorce him, and then we get an episode of fucking Jerry Springer or some shit on Raw. I don't know. I could see something like that.
Bring back the King's Court and have Jerry Lawler settle this all for them.
He would love that. Jerry Lawler would thrive in that environment as far as that stuff goes. I totally see that. But I got Edge, you guys got AJ. But we get to the main event here. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Unification Championship match. It all comes down to this. You know, honestly, it's a match we've seen several times before. I'm looking forward to this. I don't know if this is a bold opinion or not, but I'm looking forward to this match because I think the storyline since SummerSlam has been so perfectly executed. Like it's honestly like people complain about long-term storytelling. AEW does it a lot of times. WWE typically doesn't. This has been long-term storytelling. Roman has never beaten Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. They've been telling the story since SummerSlam with Brock being back, fighting for the love of Paul Heyman. That whole thing I thought was very entertaining. These guys are great. Heel Roman's awesome. Cowboy Brock is a gem. I mean, it's incredible. Like this whole thing I think has been great. And I love the promos last night on Raw too, specifically from Roman Reigns. So Mr. Marceau, start off with you. Who do you think's walking out WWE and Universal Unified Champion?
It's gotta be the Tribal Chief. It's gotta be Roman Reigns. It is what it is. I mean, like you said, he's never beat Brock at WrestleMania. You gotta put him over here. Then you have Dwayne come out for next year. I mean, I think it needs to happen. The roof would blow off the retractable roof part of it. I mean, I think Roman wins. I think it'll be a great match. I'm very excited for it. I hope it's closer to a WrestleMania 31 match prior to Seth coming in. 34 was kind of just a snooze fest. So I'm going Roman, and I think you get Dwayne at the end.
I agree with everything you just said. I want to see all of that happen. We got to get Dwayne out there. Are you in agreement here, Tommy, or are you thinking something completely different?
1,000% agreement and hopes and prayers. Yes. Yes.
We got to get The Rock out there. Any other thoughts on the match itself, Tommy?
Heel Roman is so good. Such a better version of Roman. I just think that watching these two wrestle now, older, wiser, and I think better, is going to be a lot more fun. And I hope it is. I hope it's a great match. All before the finish. I hope it's a great match leading up to that, and then I hope afterwards it's just absolute fireworks. So.
Well, I'm looking forward to Brock retaining and then like Shane McMahon or something coming out instead. So.
Yeah. Here comes the money.
That's
go.
We have the hope and then reality. You know what I mean? The expectation and then reality.
Yeah, so. That's right. Yeah. Or someone even worse. It'll be like, what was that guy's name? Lars Anderson or
Lars Sullivan?
Yes. Lars Sullivan will come out.
I'd pop.
Actually, I don't think he can wrestle anymore, right? He's blacklisted for being horrible.
He's got some other issues he's got to work out.
He's dealing with a few other things right now, but we love a comeback story in the WWE, so never say never.
That'd be quite the. Hey, listen, Logan Paul, the whole Suicide Forest thing. He's
true.
at WrestleMania.
Look at him; he's having his WrestleMania moment. So who knows?
I look forward to it. People along those lines. You love a good comeback story in WWE, and
that's right.
But yeah, in all seriousness, no, I agree with you guys. Roman's got to win. Rock comes out afterward. Set up WrestleMania 39 in LA. We got Tommy's backyard over there in LA, SoFi Stadium. It's going to be amazing. I think I already purchased my. If Rock shows up, I think I would have already purchased my ticket. Flight, hotel, Mania ticket, everything in that exact moment. I think you're in agreement there as well, Mr. Marceau.
Yeah. If Rock comes out, I mean, I might as well say empty the bank account now.
Yes.
WrestleMania goes Hollywood, and so will we. And hopefully come WrestleMania 39, Tommy, we could see you in person there. Hopefully we can talk to you there. do a show like this again. I think that'd be fucking great. Tommy, I told you an hour initially. We went almost 2. That's why we had you on here, though. I love your analysis and always great chatting with you. It's been a while. So thank you so much for coming
likewise. Thank you for having me. My pleasure. I could have done 3 next time.
Absolutely. I'm sure we'll have you on again, whether it be wrestling related or not. Maybe to talk euphoria or football or whatever it is. We'll talk about it. But again, once more, Mr. I almost called you Mr. Marceau. That's RJ. Mr. Bechtold, the Christmas boy. Where can people find you again on the Twitter machine? Obviously, new Rockstars on YouTube, and anything else you want to plug and promote as we ride off into the sunset here.
You can find me on Tommy Bechtold on Twitter and Instagram, and you can see me on Abbott Elementary April 12th on ABC, and The Offer, I believe, on Peacock April 27th.
Fantastic. We're all looking forward to that, Tommy. Congrats on the gig again. That is awesome. I'm so looking forward to that.
Thanks very much.
Absolutely, dude. Mr. Marceau, great time chatting with you as always, brother. And I'll catch you next week. New episodes of WrestleRant Radio every single Thursday, breaking down WrestleMania next Thursday. I forgot that we're 2 hours in. I forgot to mention this. The most stupendous WrestleMania of all time is what they're calling it. This is the most stupendous preview show of all time for WrestleMania. Mr. Marceau, Tommy, this has been great, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you later, brother.
Down the road. See you, brother.